Welcome to our special video commemorating World Intellectual Property Day. Today, we celebrate the power of human creativity and innovation and the importance of protecting intellectual property rights.
Well, a very good morning to all of you. Today is the World Intellectual Property Day, which is celebrated across, organized by the World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva. We at IIT Jodhpur are also celebrating the World Intellectual Property Day. As you all know, that every year the World Intellectual Property Organization arranges or celebrates 26th April as the World Intellectual Property Day, and generally every year WIPO, or the World Intellectual Property Organization, sets a theme for the year. And so the theme in 2022 was IP and Youth, Innovation for a Better Future. The theme for 2023 was Women and IP, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity. Interestingly, the theme for year 2024 is IP and SDG, Building Our Common Future with Innovation. Now, if you look at these themes, the whole idea is how do you link intellectual property with development, the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And in doing so, IP is to be looked upon as something that contributes to the societal growth and societal development. Now, if you look at that part, then what is innovation? The way one has to look at innovations is that ideas become a part of creative endeavors, and when these creative endeavors reach the society or gets used by the society, then we are into the phase of an innovation. Therefore, creations become innovations when those creations get used by the society. And therefore, looking at the theme of this year's IP and SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, all the IP that is generated must find its way into society. And therefore, if it finds its way into society, it would then contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. So what does it mean? It means basically that we are looking at a process of transforming thoughts to what I call as tradable tangibles, which means that thoughts as such, okay, they're good, they're important, but the question is, in the process of converting the thoughts to tradable tangibles, we go through intellectual property rights. Therefore, I call it value creation through intellectual property rights, mediated convergence to knowledge assets. So it's not just converting into a property, but the property is being converted into something valuable, and therefore it becomes an asset. And therefore, I call it value creation through IPR mediated convergence to knowledge assets. Now, when you look at it that way, I am reminded of a statement which has been made by our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi when he delivered the inaugural address at the 108th Indian Science Congress in 2023. What did he say? He said, efforts of science can turn into great achievements only when they come out of the lab and reach the land, and their impact reaches from global to grassroots when its ambit is from journal to zameen, and when change is visible from research to real life. That's innovation. So I think our Honorable Prime Minister has been able to really summarize this whole process of innovation and the importance of intellectual property rights in SDG wonderfully in this one sentence. Going further from here, so therefore we have innovations. So what did we say? That we have ideas, therefore ideation. Ideation is taken forward to a proof of concept. You establish the proof of concept, and as you go beyond, you have to translate the proof of concept into what I call as market-worthy probables. And then what you do is convert those market-worthy probables through some sort of translational process into a commercialization stage. And for that, you need to involve various types of partners. And therefore, if you want a sustainable ecosystem in a very competitive system, you got to recognize that in today's world, the innovation life cycles are collapsing. There's very quick obsolescence of products and services, and therefore what you need is continual, speedy and strategic management of innovation and intellectual property rights. So the whole concept of intellectual property rights is to be looked at from a 360-degree standpoint and not just as a legal protection of innovations whatsoever. So as we go further from there, we need to look at what is known as the Global Innovation Index. Now, what is the Global Innovation Index? The Global Innovation Index is created every year by the World Intellectual Property Organization. And what does it do? It ranks 132 economies, relying on 81 different indicators. And every year, the World Intellectual Property Organization comes with what is known as the Global Innovation Index. And so we have had Global Innovation Index, 2001, 2002, and now up to 2023. Interestingly, that when you look at where does India stand in the Global Innovation Index, because what they do is that in those 132 economies, they rely on 81 different indicators. And based on those indicators, they rank various countries. And interestingly enough, that in 2023, India ranked 40th in the 132 economies in 2023. Now, interestingly, last year in 2022, India had also ranked 40. And earlier to that, if you went back in time, India was fairly low in the Global Innovation Index. It jumped several steps up to reach the number 40. But what's the goal? Are we satisfied with 40? No, India has the potential to be in the top 10 in the world. However, it's important for us to recognize that India today stands at number 1 among 37 low middle income group economies. It also stands first among the 10 economies in Central and Southern Asia. So the question is that we need to look at how does India, climb up this particular ladder of the Global Innovation Index. To do that, we need to look at various parameters. We have institutions. I'm just going to list, out of the 81, I'm just going to, talk about a few. So you have institutions, human capital research, infrastructure, market sophistication, business sophistication, knowledge and technology output, creative output, etc. Now when you look at this, I just want to compare. And look at, very interestingly, India is number 40. A small country like Republic of Korea stands at number 10. China stands at number 12. Israel, very small, stands at number 14. USA stands at number 3. And Singapore, interestingly, stands at number 5. So obviously I won't go into great details of each one of the parameters, but India has a long way to go from 40 if it wants to be in the top 10. And therefore, we have several lessons to learn in this. In this game, obviously intellectual knowledge creation and then transforming that knowledge, what has been created, into innovation, which means how do we take it to the market? How do we translate it to the marketplace? How do we make money out of it? How do we really convert it for the use of society? And that is where the Sustainable Development Goals come in. And therefore, what we need to do is to strategically manage these aspects in India to climb up another important area to look at, a very important parameter, is university industry R&D collaborations. India is ranked 65 in the 132 on this parameter. Interestingly, Israel stands at number 1. So obviously, we have to learn how the industry and university, therefore in the context of IIT Jodhpur, right? It's not good enough for us to really just only generate the knowledge. It's not good enough for us only to generate the IP. But how do we translate this into something real with industry? So that is something that we need to learn. Similarly, if you look at the United States, in the industry university, they are ranked at number 2. Singapore ranks at number 5. China ranks at number 6. So then if you look at other aspects, when you look at, for example, how much of corporate R&D investments are being done, So when you look at that, India stands at 15, whereas a country like, for example, China stands at number 3. So we need to look at these parameters very closely to see how India will go ahead in the Global Innovation Index. Coming to other issues, we need to look at now, India is looking very carefully, for example, into strategic fields like semiconductors and other areas. So high-tech exports, where do we stand on those? So if you look at high-tech export percentage of the total, India stands at 39 out of 132. Korea stands at 1. China stands at 1. Israel is 14. USA. So the point is, we need to look at these particular factors very, very carefully. India has a great potential in the field of copyright and therefore in the area of culture and relative services and exports. Today, we are not very high in the index. We are only 18. But India has the potential. Singapore stands at 1. So I think in terms of creative goods exports and other things, we have a lot of lessons to learn and take the things forward from there.
So we have a long way to go through that. However, having said that, let's see where does India stand today. We have come a long way. And therefore, when you look at the Indian Intellectual Property Office, simply I will go into one aspect, that is from March 2023 to March 2024. In 1 year, India granted over 1 lakh patents they have been granted. Number 1. Copyright is about 36,000 copyright registrations have taken place in India. About 28,000 industrial design registrations have taken place. Over around 600 geographical indication registrations have taken place. About 280,000 trademark registrations. Obviously, if you look at this way, that India has catapulted its innovation ecosystem, very remarkably out there. Last but not the least, we need to look at this in a global frame. And the total number of patents granted worldwide in 2022 is reaching a total of about 1.8 billion. So India is on a growth path. We need to strategize how to speed up operations, and view of these, our education institutions like IITs and specifically IIT Jodhpur has to restructure its strategy so that it can convert and it can convert a lot of its creations into innovations by taking it and delivering goods.
At IIT Jodhpur, innovation is at the heart of everything we do. Our researchers, faculty, and students are constantly pushing the boundaries of knowledge and creating groundbreaking technologies.
Hello viewers, my name is Anil Kumar Tiwari. I am DPIIT IPR Chair Professor and Professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Jodhpur. I am closely looking after the intellectual property related matters here, and in this regard I would like to highlight the efforts made by the Institute and the outcome. The concentrated and focused effort started in March 2019 in terms of conference and workshops on IPR matters. At the same time, the process of having IPR policy document also began. This document was finalized in December 2019 after a detailed discussion with faculty members and the students. The document includes the operating framework for IP protection and its commercialization with a clear benefit sharing mechanism with the stakeholders. We have Institute Intellectual Property Management Group called IIPMG that identifies the creation and the process them for IPR protection. The Technology Transfer Group, that is TKTG, has also been set up to facilitate knowledge and technology transfer with the associated IPR to industries and also to facilitate startups for commercialization of the creations. The Institute regularly organizes workshops on patent search and technology landscaping. All PG students and faculty members have benefited from the same. Actually, the patent search requires a special understanding as it is much different from the generic searches. Subsequently, a handbook on patent search was developed and the same is uploaded on the IITJ website with open access so that students and faculty in the institute and elsewhere could freely download it for the personal use. There is a one credit course on innovation and IP management which is compulsory for regular PG students and executive students. So far, about 1,000 students have studied this course. As an example, in the ongoing semester, there are more than 550 students registered in it, mostly in all IP applications. These students are one of the inventors, and since they have a fair understanding of IP related issues, the institute's success in obtaining the patents is very high. Another reason for high success in getting patents is by providing feedback to inventors from the accomplished professionals. These professionals are regular visitors to the institute. The additional advantage of this course is that these students, while leading a professional career, are aware of their intellectual property and make necessary action to protect them. The institute has also established the Center of Excellence on IP to coordinate all IPR related activities in IITJ. COE is also linking with various institutions, industry associations, and local craftspersons associated with Jodhpur City Knowledge and Innovation Foundation called JCKIF. The human resource in the COE has been enriched with appointment of adjunct faculty and professor of practice with rich experience in this area. The center has also members from various academic institutes of the institute. Recently, Department of Promotion of Industry and Trade, Government of India has allotted an IPR chair to IIT Jodhpur under SPRIHA. As a result of these efforts, we have been able to file applications to protect about 75 intellectual properties, and more than 90% of these are after the year 2019. On the commercialization front, there are 7 startups based on these patents, and a few technology transfer has also happened. Thank you very much.
Celebrate the creativity and ingenuity of the human spirit and reaffirm our commitment to protecting intellectual property rights.